My name is Chubby.
And I'm Vanessa, and welcome to No Filters,
Just
No Fears podcast.
podcast. So today's level is a level 5 elephant.
Yeah, it's up
Yeah,
there.
it's up there. I mean, again, trigger warning. We're gonna be talking about diseases, illnesses, brain fog, chronic illness, you name it. So if this is something you don't want to hear about, you don't want to talk about it, you don't. It's
We
fine.
need to do it in small doses.
Small doses. We urge you to take care of you first, and then. But if you want to be chismosos and you want to come join us and learn about something, you could come join us and we could teach you. But first of all, we have to say Happy International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, and Transphobia. Against up in here with that. We support everybody. We love everybody. And the community is always welcome. So today's episode deals with chronic illness. Well, autoimmune diseases, to be specific. And what is that, you say? A disease in which the body's immune system attacks healthy cells. What is the chronic disease? A disease that persists for a long time, a chronic disease in one lasting 3 months or more. By definition of the U.S. National Center of Health Statistics, chronic diseases generally cannot be prevented by vaccines or cured by medication, nor do they just disappear. This definition is really important because who's in the chronic community, for lack of a better statement, everybody say, oh, did you try this? Or did you try that? I'm pretty sure they tried everything. So no, it just not disappears just like that.
Really interesting because a lot of symptoms of so many of these chronic illnesses and autoimmune diseases are similar to your quote unquote everyday things. So people are consistently misdiagnosed or dismissed as making it up or imagining it, or that was just because you had a cold and now this is the after effects. So
Or
they,
misdiagnosed.
yeah, the misdiagnosis is the biggest thing when it comes to autoimmune diseases, which really shocks me because at this point, there are hundreds of known autoimmune diseases. I can't speak today. Hundreds. You would expect them to at least.
The thing is that they overlap with each other. That at first it's like, oh, it could be this, but then they have to do extensive research on that just to figure out the actual cause because they do overlap with each other. There's so many that you think you have this, and this is why misdiagnosis is one of the causes, like one of the highest one out there, because there are just so many you don't even know. I am glad we're talking about this topic because on Thursday is actually autoimmune arthritis inflammatory day. But today we decided to do autoimmune disease day, our episode on it.
Right. Covering all the bases of, because a lot of these illnesses and even chronic disease, chronic pain, right? They, you don't, it doesn't show always, right? And people have this like preconceived notion of what a sick person looks like. And so we can be insensitive to someone's struggle just because we don't understand it. There's people who have high tolerance for pain because they don't have an option but to have a high tolerance for pain or feeling sick or feeling tired. So you look at them and like, they're normal. They don't have a problem, whatever. And like, they should be able to do tal because I'm able to do it and we're the same age and we do the same thing, but it's not the same. So don't assume that you know just because people.
Hence the title Invisible Battles. It's an invisible disease. You really can't see it unless you're there with a person in front of them and you're there with their daily lives and their daily struggles of how the hell they're dealing with this 24/7 for however long they've had it. So
And it's like, and there's stages to these different diseases. Like, so maybe the older they get or the longer they've had it, or depends on how severe. then they may show signs of it. Then it is obvious that they're going through something. But there's diseases like, for example, lupus. At first sight, you may not be able to tell that a person is battling lupus. And
Right.
there are severe things that people with lupus deal with. I went to school with somebody who had lupus, and she was such a brave soul. One of the only treatments for the kind of lupus that she had was chemotherapy. And chemotherapy is really intense and ravages the body.
Right.
So you already have a disease ravaging your body. Now you have chemotherapy, and it's a young body that's still developing. You know what I mean? It's a lot.
And again, I'm pretty sure she got it's diagnosed plenty of times before she got it, unless it was right away.
Absolutely.
And that is the problem, that a lot, like we were talking about, a lot of doctors just say you're lying, or things along those lines, or no, no, this is not what it is, it's all in your head. And that's the biggest
I
problem.
also really feel like there's not, maybe you can talk more about on this, I don't know. But like there's such little support healthcare wise
Oh,
for
definitely.
for people with chronic disease, autoimmune diseases, chronic pain. For years, fibromyalgia was dismissed as being an actual chronic ailment. My aunt has fibromyalgia. My cousin. Okay, so these are two completely different age ranges. My aunt and her son. Her son is in his 20s. My aunt is, I'm not going to say her age, porque no me de pau pau. You know, older. So two different age ranges, and they both struggle with the same ailment, fibromyalgia, which affects the joints, right? And sometimes even the lymphatic system. So it's like really intense pain. Sometimes you can't move from bed. And sometimes you can't hold things. There's just no strength. There's no grip. So, and you wouldn't be able to tell by looking at them, specifically my cousin that's younger. And okay, we're going to go out and dance or whatever. But then for 2 days, no sirve. Like he can't do anything for like 2 days.
Right, because you have to
Body
reach
is
your
sweat.
body.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for a long time, they were told, no, it's all in your head. No, it's just tired. No, you're just sore. Fibromyalgia took forever for it to finally be recognized as an actual ailment.
Yeah, your body's debilitated. Like it literally stays there, and you can't do crap. You can't pick up your phone. You can't do anything. You're just there. You can't even go shower because it's that bad. Like pain, that chronic pain in your, it just sucks. It sucks is an understatement, but it's a life. It's debilitating, and you're living with that 24/7. Like ningún pill, ningún massage, not a fucking nothing. Hot water with some Himalayan whatever salt on it's gonna help. None of that. You know. And like you, I'm a holistic person, so medication is not really like an option for me.
And in reality, so many of these autoimmune diseases and chronic illnesses get treated with holistic approaches, even by like doctors that typically go towards, big pharma for the pills and the stuff. They, when they really want to help their patient, because guys, uh, we're not trying to, I take that back, fam. We're not trying to say or discredit doctors. My mom is a doctor. Okay. I'm not trying to discredit doctors, but medicine has deviated severely from what it used to be. And what I feel was the original, like their oath is first do no harm. And as we can see by following so many rules with like big pharma and all these things, there's a lot of harm being caused. But at the same time, there are a lot of doctors, a lot of nurses, and people in medicine that are out there trying to help their patients, help people get better. And this is for those people that will think outside the box and try to treat their patients with holistic approaches. I know a lot of I have two cousins with MS, and their doctors gave them more holistic approaches than just medication, or partnered it with medications, necessary medications, not just meds that were like, okay, this is new, try this, you know?
Like guinea pigs.
Right. So, and there's always going to be an opportunity or a need for people to try new drugs. and new treatments, and that might be their only way of potentially battling something. And I'm not opposed to it, but there's definitely a lot to be said to reading into what you're putting into your body, because there's so many things that do show that diet affects it. So many people have reverted, like, heavy symptoms of their lupus, of their MS, by having a more plant-based diet. There's ways. There's ways.
We could talk, well, I could talk about this because I suffer from psoriatic arthritis. It's not a cause from overused joints or aging. Trust me, age has nothing to do with this. I first started feeling pain when I was 20, 21.
Wow.
Mind you, backstory to this, which I think may be one of the causes. When I was 5 years old, I got hit by a car. So my joints and things in my body, you already know, discombobulated all over the place in the pavement.
And then in the middle of your development, like
I was
5 years old.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So according to the doctors, as I got older, my body was going to experience excruciating pain. It was going to get just, things are going to happen, you know? So anyway, I was 21 when I first started feeling these weird pains in my hands. And they were just excruciating. Like I could not hold a pen, a phone. Like
Wow.
I was just tired, you know, but I didn't know, 21 saying screw everything, let me live my life, whatever. Um, so back to the definition. It's an inflammatory autoimmune condition that can affect both joints and skin. While the specific causes are not fully known, it is believed that there are multiple proteins in your immune system that may play a role in inflammation. When these proteins become overproduced, they cause an inflammatory response that contributes to the pain and swelling in the joints and tendons, and sometimes even red skin, thick scaly, itchy red skin. And if left untreated, it may cause permanent joint damage.
Wow.
So, with that being said, um, alcohol makes it worse. So, if a person you like to drink and you have psoriatic arthritis, that makes it worse. Your joints are burning, literally burning. So, you can't, have alcohol consumption. That's one of them. What I drink to relieve the pain is black tea, because the ingredients that black tea has, oh my god, it makes. I drink 4 cups of those, and I am in heaven, and
Does it lower swelling?
it lower the swelling and the pain. So this
Oh
is why
wow.
my compression gloves are on today, because yours truly is in excruciating pain today. But it's not even that; it's the fatigue. You're always tired. That's what it comes with this psoriatic arthritis. Like I said, I didn't get diagnosed officially until I went to Boston and I was 27.
Wow.
27, from 21 feeling these pains, and I didn't know what it was. And I thought it was just like regular arthritis, because I was like, oh yeah, but then there's taboos about that. If you keep popping like your
Your
fingers or
knuckles, yeah.
your knuckles or whatever. But then, finally getting healthcare in every job you have in Boston, not unlike Florida, where it depends on what job.
Yeah.
Over there is anywhere. You're a dog pooper, you pick it up, you have healthcare, whatever. That's how they work there.
Wow.
They do. But the job that I was fortunate to
Good
have,
luck, Boston.
the job that I was fortunate to have, they had full healthcare for everything. And I decided to do a full checkup on everything. So I also suffer from psoriasis, which I started developing that at 25. That just, it started at 25. And here I am, years later. Then 27, when I officially got diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis, psoriasis. That's one of the names in the name. So
Mm-hmm.
it's two
So
in
they
one.
compounded.
It's 2 in 1. Not everybody gets it. Let me get that clear. Not everybody gets psoriatic arthritis. Everybody does. Some just stay with psoriasis alone, and then that's it, and it goes away. But some just have it forever or however long.
Whoa.
Yeah, so the pain, just like I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the
Fibromyalgia.
um
Yeah.
the Yeah, it's just you're just tired. You're just tired, fatigued. You can't do shit for a while.
Well, the exhaustion is your body's working overtime to like compensate for so many of the
Exactly.
things.
Exactly, it is. So, and it becomes an extra step. So one day you're like, oh, let's go out and whatever. The next day it's like, oh, what happened, Chubby? Why can you? I'm just tired. But that's just the word you use to just not get into the details of, I have a chronic and autoimmune disease and I'm exhausted, the fatigue and this and this and that. You just say you're tired just to get it out of the way. Some people work like that.
You know, it's it's really interesting to hear you say that. I feel like that is a very common thought process for people with chronic ailments and autoimmune diseases. A lot of my friends that have MS, that have lupus, that have arthritis, but I'm talking about like the type that you have, severe. Not ay que me duele un dedito, carpal tunnel. No, chronic pain in the joints, fibromyalgia, things like that. They all say the same thing. That you get to the point where you no longer try to explain, no, I'm having a flare up today. No, I'm this. That it gets to the point where you just say, I'm tired because you figure, A, it's faster to just say that and you're tired. So like you don't want to talk. But B, it's also like it's less explanation because people start pushing.
Right.
No, but once you get out, you'll feel better. And I'm guilty of this. And now that I'm hearing you say that, I'm like, how many times have I pushed somebody that maybe had a chronic situation? And I was like, no, but once you're there, everything's gonna be better and you're fine. Or like, put this vapor up, you'll be fine. You know what I mean? We all kind of we forget that certain things can be more severe. Que fuerte. And to just get to the point where just like, I'm tired and I'm done. I had a friend that was just like, oh no, I don't feel like going. Like they would make it something and they could be dying to do it. They really wanted to be a part of it, but they excluded themselves or made it seem like they weren't interested. Not in a rude way, just they weren't interested. It wasn't their thing. When in reality, they wanted to be a part of it, but they just knew that their body couldn't handle it.
And that's just one of the things, especially for example, for me, when I first started getting to know what the hell was wrong with me and, getting serious about my health. Because, you being 21, you're like, screw the world, I'm going to go do party life, school, whatever. But now being older and taking care of my health and actually what's wrong with it, I thought, this is the scary part, I thought I was losing my cognitive functions. Yes, my thought process, thinking. Let me
Well,
take.
because you talked about, well, you're going to talk about more now. The brain fog, you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, like this is what cognitive functions are. It's just a broad term, right? But cognitive
Mhm.
includes the domains of perception, memory, learning, attention, decision making, and language abilities. I thought, I didn't think it had nothing to do with psoriatic arthritis. I just thought that there was something wrong with my brain, that I was losing my speech, or I don't know. I just thought there was something completely terribly wrong with me. And I got scared to the point I was telling my best friend, I'm like, I think I'm becoming dumb. That's literally what I told her. Because I could not remember, like, I don't know, my brain was going through some stuff. Mind you, what you mentioned, yes, the brain fog, which is, it's in a medical condition, obviously. It's a term used for certain symptoms that can affect your ability to think. You may feel confused or disorganized, or find it hard to focus or put your thoughts into words.
Of course, if you're feeling fatigued because your body's working overtime, your brain, I'm sure, short circuits as well. And it's like,
And that happens to everybody. Brain fog is not just a person with a chronic illness. If you didn't sleep enough, that
right,
causes brain fog.
excess stress,
Excess
depression.
stress, exactly, because you're tired, you haven't, reset your body. So obviously your brain is going to be working slow. And when I found out that it was just because my psoriatic arthritis and my autoimmune, my body was just having its own whatever, I felt better, but then I felt bad because I'm like, oh, I found the cause. or why I felt like my cognitive functions were depleting, but then I realized it's because of this. So now I'm feeling shitty about this. So
Yeah.
so it's not like an emotional roller coaster, and this is why getting misdiagnosed always is the hardest part, because then you think you have this and you're like, oh, now I know what it is, now let me fight this. Then you're like, oh no, it's not that, let me, oh, it's this. So now you're going through an emotional roller coaster, figuring out when and how you're going to be okay, or like what can you do to fix this.
Because then on top of the illness and the pain itself, you have to also think about the treatment for it, the management of it, of the pain, because you still want to have a life,
Right.
because you're still a functioning human being. You know, you got to support yourself. If you have a family, you have to support a family,
Right.
right? My aunt is a mother of two with chronic pains all the time. Like, I cannot imagine like raising a family, dealing with your, and also dealing with, you know, multiple doctors with their lovely opinions and prejudgments, and also like with the healthcare system and what it is in our fair country, that there's it doesn't really support these long-term illnesses in ways that maybe it should, right? It's so crazy.
And there's another thing about that. Remember, not everybody, that's how I say, not everybody is disabled to the point where they can't work.
Right.
Some do have jobs, obviously limited functions, just so they won't, excess themselves and make themselves too tired or whatever, to where they could work. But there are some people that are disabled where they cannot work because of their condition, but they
Yeah.
still gotta make money somehow, and that's great for them, but the healthcare system, it takes them a long time to get to the point where it's like, I'm being serious, like I can't work because of this, you know and they don't take them serious, and it takes years, guys, it takes
Are
years.
being called lazy or losing jobs because they can't um kind of find, like, help them out, give them happy balance, kind of adjust.
Again, it takes years for a proper diagnosis where you could finally breathe and be like, this is what it is, and that's the thing, we blame ourselves half of the time for like, oh, I wanted to go but I had to miss your birthday, or this or that. But you have to be open and honest to the person or to your friends and be like, guys, this is what's going on, this is why I can't do this thing or such thing, because I'm in pain. you know I don't know how many people out there, if they like the word chronic disease, chronic illness, but like I was telling you earlier, I like the word chronic pain. One, because it sounds less scary than chronic disease and
Right.
chronic illness to me, in my mind, to ease the anxiety level. I say chronic pain, even though it's a freaking autoimmune disease.
I
You know,
hear you.
I don't know. To me, I don't know if anybody out there that has a chronic illness. I don't know, what term do you guys prefer? Because to me, chronic pain sounds more like, oh, I'm just in pain. It sounds okay. It's just perpetual. It's okay. You try to alleviate that pain and that anxiety you carry with you or having an autoimmune disease.
I have a friend that actually did prefer chronic disease because they were also a medical student, but they preferred it because to them they're like, it is causing, it's not, there's no ease in my body, there's nothing easy about this, so
Yeah.
this ease. So I was like, okay, that's an interesting approach, but it's true, everybody has their own way of referring to it. You have to deal with it. You have more than enough on your plate. You get to call it whatever the hell you want.
For me, what is most frustrating about the psoriatic arthritis is the fact that I am an artist. I draw, I paint, I am a photographer, meaning I use my hands
A lot.
a lot. And it gets to the point where I can't write. So imagine my frustration and how much I want to cry because I can't fucking write.
Yeah.
So to make it even worse, on my right hand, I have carpal tunnel. So the pain goes all the way to this elbow. I only have it on this hand though, in this arm.
Oh, that's your pro- prominent hand, right?
Yes. And then I have it on my feet and on one of my knees. So my right side is always in pain, more than the whole body itself.
Right.
This is why pillows are heaven sent, because you could prop them, and there's special body pillows you could like use. You know, they're a delight. You know,
Yeah.
and they help. Because right now I have a pillow in between the knee because it fucking hurts, but the pillow is helping it not be so bendy in a way where the pain is more. So yeah.
I'm very fortunate. I'm very privileged to not have a disease like this. But I get frustrated, like from the outsider's perspective, for the people in my life that do have to battle this constantly because of how unfair people can be. We are so quick to judge. Uh, a guy got into a fight with this lady for parking in a handicap spot. The lady got out of her car and was walking to the front of the store, was getting one of the little carts to go around the store. And the guy, the entire time, but the three of us are like walking. So like I'm hearing all the conversation and it was just like, look at that. That's so disrespectful. But like faking it so that so she could get the thing to get disabled parking, bitching the whole time. And the thing is, if I could hear this man and all his gaga, right? This lady has to have been able to hear him because the same distance that I was behind him, she was in front of him. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's audible. We're getting to the store. I'm getting my cart. She's getting su carrito. He's getting, and he's there talking to like, I don't know, his partner. And he's like, I can't believe this. Look, she's even getting in a cart. Da, da, da. So much criticism. And most people, sadly, a lot of people that are going through that will just take it. They're not going to say anything. They're just going to go about their business, do their shopping, get out. I'm very happy that this lady did this because it was a lesson for me witnessing it. And I hope that it was a lesson to that guy to not be such a cacahead,
Yeah.
right? Because she turned around, she goes, "For your information, I have chronic pain issues, and I have a flare up where I have a huge like mass and cyst. Like she couldn't move one of her hips very well, and I have a heart condition, and that is why I have handicap parking." Right? A disabled parking thing. And that is why I'm on this cart. And that is why, like, she just went through her little, that is why. And she goes, so the next time before you start judging somebody that you don't know, maybe try holding the door for somebody next time because eso era otra cosa. He was just like slamming and pushing. And I was so glad that she turned around and said that because it's true. People get disabled parking signs for a multitude of reasons. It's not just because they're literally in a wheelchair or need a crutches or anything like that. There
Exactly.
could be other reasons. And who the hell are you to make a judgment? There is possibly 1,005 reasons that somebody can make a judgment about you about something that you should not be partaking of. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So who made you El Presidente?
Again, the mindfulness episode. This reminds me back when I was in college and I was 21 and I was just figuring out this pain of mine. I was sitting in front of the bus, at that time. And as you already know, the front of the bus is for the elderly, people that have whatever, disabilities, physical disabilities. So I was sitting there. I was so exhausted. I could have literally fallen at any moment of how tired I was. So I was sitting there, and this guy's like, "Oh, get up and give it to the old lady." And I'm like, "Okay, why? I'm exhausted too." "Oh, but you're young and you shouldn't be tired. I'm like, tired comes in all forms of shapes and ages. So it doesn't matter how old I am. But mind you, at the time I didn't know I had an autoimmune disease. I just thought I was just freaking exhausted, you know? And I'm like, what the hell did I do with my life, you know? But also, again, the whole ageism thing, what we spoke about in our in one of our episodes, you know, you also cannot judge a book by its cover because you don't know why that person is sitting there. You
Yeah.
know, you don't know anything about the person. You don't know why a certain age person is, you know, sitting at the front of the bus. Now, if
Yeah.
I knew that back then, I would have been like, well, I have an autoimmune disease and I'm exhausted and this is why and blah, 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 blah. So I have the right to sit here too.
People like that. I had a friend that was in rehearsal and they just kept drilling the same move, drilling, and her body just couldn't do it. And the director was upset. You just did it yesterday. You just did it yesterday. X amount of time, like so many times. Why can't you do it now? You're just being lazy. Come on, we need to go full force because the show opens soon. So, and so she's being hard on herself because she's not delivering. I was like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Went to doctors nonstop, nonstop, nothing. You don't have, you're tired, you're this, you're that. Come to find, it's lupus, right? Undetected for years, years. And this isn't new. Okay, the human body is very complicated.
Yeah,
And the more we think we know about it, the more it's like, surprise,
right.
I don't have to go very far. Hello, pandemic. Right? We don't have to go very far. How it affects everybody, literally body differently. So lupus also takes on different ways.
Yeah,
Every body is different, not just differently shaped. It functions differently. Different people have different tolerances for pain,
exactly.
and pain affects mental health severely. A lot of those commercials that said depression hurts. Absolutely. Your body's under absolute duress. There's pain. There's pain from laying in bed too long because you can't bring yourself to move. So the pain of not being able to move gets worse by the fact that you're not moving.
Just like what you were saying earlier, everybody with their own chronic illness obviously works differently. You know what works for you. You know what will make the pain be more.
Tolerable.
There we go. You know, so you're able to, you know, feel freaking better at least. A flare up could literally go from a 10 to a freaking 500, you know? Before I forget what I was going to share with you guys. So, most of us considers ourselves to be spoonies. What is a spoonie? Well, it's for a community of chronically illness, you know, people with autoimmune diseases, you know. So we make a little community. So we use the term spoonie, so derives from spoons, is a metaphor.
A
So it's a
metaphor.
metaphor, you know, it's a
That
visual.
was good.
Yeah, it's a visual representation used as a unit of measure to quantify how much energy a person has throughout a given day. Each activity requires a given number of spoons, which will only be replaced as the person recharges through rest. A person who runs out of spoons has no choice but to rest until their spoons are replenished.
Hmm.
So basically, if you wake up your day with 20 spoons, be mindful of how you're going to use them because by 5 p.m., you could have 0 spoons and you have nothing to do with your body because it's basically immobile.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not like everybody who like you probably have 3,000 spoons and you're good to
Yeah.
go. So it's like they're so limited, you know, and if you're friends with somebody who has a chronic illness, you know, be mindful of their day, of how can they spend it, and don't be mad if they say I can't hang out with you today. If you want to
Yes.
stay next to them to replenish their spoons with them, go right ahead. But other
Yeah.
than that, you can't force someone to do something that their body cannot physically.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of things that people don't attribute to being a chronic illness. Like I said,
Yes.
so many things about mental health are tied to chronic illness. Sometimes that absolute exhaustion that you just can't and that you don't know that you have a chronic illness, or you don't associate, I have a list. I have a list
Yes, yes,
of
share.
things that people, because for example, these are the top ones that, and I actually know people that have so many of these, and I'm just like, now certain things make sense. Rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroiditis, celiac disease, Graves' disease, diabetes type 1, vitiligo, rheumatic fever, pernicious anemia, alopecia areata, immune thrombosis. I can't say the word, so I'm not gonna. Multiple sclerosis, MS. There's over 1 million people in the US with MS, living with MS. Systematic lupus, temporal arthritis, colitis, Crohn's disease, hepatitis disease, dermatitis, Kawasaki disease. Uh, and a lot of these autoimmune diseases, by the way, don't come alone, right? So the type that you have does not come alone.
No.
Soraya said, "Hey, arthritis, I wanna come hang out with you." And there are diseases that do that. They kind of like link up, which is lovely for them, but really shitty for the person who has to deal with it.
Right. They're coming multiple.
So
Yes.
yeah, so people with Kawasaki can develop fibromyalgia, right? So, and people with fibromyalgia can battle, a lot of them battle severe depression. These things are tied the same way that none of us is an island and we're all connected in some way within our own ecosystem, our own body. All of the things are connected, brain to heart to lungs to this to that. What do people say? Like, if you're in a bad space emotionally, like the world is falling down around you, you're in a bad space financially, it starts affecting your mental state, which starts affecting your health. And that is not me pulling it out of my booty. That is the Florida Department of Health. Okay, I've started working for the Florida Department of Health. They train us to recognize that within communities, right, the disparities that we see in the healthcare system is because communities that tend to like find each other are in similar financial and economic standings. And what happens? That affects the food that we eat,
Right.
right? Because of what's available in the stores, because of what's accessible, because of our finances, because of the jobs in the area, right? People that have to commute far away but don't have a way to commute. All of these pressures, all of these stressors, and having to maintain a family, right, affects everything that you put in your body, everything that you're thinking about, and then your body reacts. Qué horrible.
And and then this is how the government is failing most of us. The healthcare, yeah. Especially let's say Florida. You know, Florida fails the majority of everybody living here. And it doesn't matter how many places you've been to, how many doctors you've been to, how many this or that, they still fail you at the end. And all they do is like push medication, 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 medication on you, not seeing what can be done for this particular person. Not every medication is going to be the right one for the person. It could have a secondary effects on them that could be detrimental.
Absolutely. And then just the everyday, I think, yes, we're here giving you a lot of information about actual diseases, how it can affect somebody. But if you are fortunate enough to not have one of these diseases or one of these chronic types of pain, if you have the opportunity to be somebody's support and give them an understanding that they may not otherwise get, I feel like people of the chronic illness, pain, autoimmune disease community have to deal with so much pushback from doctors, from other family members, right? On top of their own things of having a family, etc., that when they have a close support system that can understand them and isn't like pushing them to walk or do or think más de la cuenta, more than is needed for that moment. If it's just an off day, be supportive of that off day. You know what I mean? Um, and don't make a big deal of it either, right?
Right.
Like you're doing some grand cause, because I I recognize this from a friend of mine. They used to hide a lot of what they were feeling, like pain wise, because they wanted to be a part of the group. They wanted to be cool. They didn't want to show. And it was like, it had to be like, if you were the person on the end that knew that they weren't feeling well, right? You're not going to sit there and make a big deal of like, I'm helped. No, we're just like, wait. You make it a part of the thing. If that's
Right.
where they're at, that they can't share, because then you have to meet them where they're at. Eventually, this person is now a huge advocate for speaking up about it, and their pain and their journey. But until they got there, you kind of have to respect that privacy because it's all they really have.
I mean, we already feel like shit. Like, yes,
Yeah.
I want to hang out with you, but I'm sorry, my chronic illness says not today. What can we do? It's out of our control when the flare up is going to be that bad. We don't have a choice.
And like we discussed, there's ways of managing it. These are 8 things that doctors tell their that they tell their friends, like close friends, to look out for when potentially dealing with autoimmune diseases and chronic pain. They give them an idea of how they might start, things to look out for. Tummy trouble. So we do not focus enough on our, what is it, our friendly bacteria in our stomachs. Stomach health is like belly health is incredibly important, especially when it comes to chronic ailments, I've learned,
Yeah.
apparently. So if people are having serious tummy troubles, that's something to look into. Don't let it just go by the wayside. There might be a reason that you're down, right? Depression, fatigue. There might be a reason. Maybe it's not just a hormonal imbalance.
Right. Like they like to push it on because, I get it, I have ovaries, but that's not the point.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Eso. There are ways to feel stronger. So, um, we don't just want to talk about how terrible it is, because it is terrible. But it's like, if you're gonna, I think you're a great example of this, Shubi, and my friend Monica, I feel is also a really great example of this. This is something that you battle on the daily, that sometimes is more severe than others, but you guys have done a really great job of finding things that make you feel stronger, make you feel able and capable, right? And give your life purpose, your photography, your traveling, right? So there are ways to feel stronger. Work with a healthcare professional, or find a holistic doctor. They're out there, if that's where you want to go. When my mom had cancer, she didn't go the typical route of chemotherapy. She went with holistic medicine, and she's been in remission for 10 years. Okay. So there's multiple ways of approaching a situation. So there's ways to get stronger. It doesn't just have to be pills. It
Right.
doesn't just have to be losing hope and waiting for the disease to wreak havoc on your body. Your diet really matters.
People don't believe that, but it does.
This is a chronic illness. Heart disease is now considered a chronic illness. Okay? It is something that is created. You can revert that particular chronic disease.
Right.
It became a chronic disease because of the mass amounts of red meat being consumed. That's not me talking as a vegan. That's not me talking as an animal activist. That is a fact of medicine,
Right.
right? High consumption of red meat contributes to chronic heart disease. And it is one of the leading causes of death in the United States.
That's the thing that people, what you put in your body matters.
So can you imagine having a chronic or autoimmune disease, right? And on top of that, adding consumption of things that aid in like deteriorating the function of other organs that are already working overtime?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
No.
I know a friend of mine who went vegan because it literally saved her life, like literally. If not, they would have not been here.
Yeah.
I'm vegan because the food just tastes disgusting. So that's why. My body does not like the taste. It does not, and because I'm lactose. So, but that's the point. Besides the point, but it does help. It
Yeah.
does help. It does help my body, my autoimmune be less. Well, not the autoimmune, the chronic pain be less painful when the flare up does come up. Like I told
Mhm.
you before, black tea helps tremendously for
But
the
see, what is that? That's herbs, vegetables, fruits. These are our ancestors' natural medicines. Before we started like combining chemicals and crap, people were crushing little hierbitas and plopping that on wounds and healing and living.
right.
Okay? The Spaniards turned, hmm,
Besides
and
everything else,
I'm gonna leave this very open-ended, pero the Spaniards turned to the native people of this land to help them deal with their illnesses because they didn't know what the hell was going on with their bodies. And they turned to natural um, herbs and teas to take care of plagues. Okay?
again, we're not saying though. If you want to take all your 10,000 pills, goes right ahead. If it helps, if it's helping you, whatever the case, you do what is best for your body, for yourself. Again, we're
What
not
has been
therapists.
working for you to
We're not
manage it?
we're not therapists. We're not doctors. We're just speaking from experience and doing our research. That's where
Yeah.
we're at.
And again, my mom is a doctor.
And her
Like,
mom.
I'm not saying I am a doctor, but I've seen, and my mother is a cancer survivor. I have family members with dementia, with diabetes, with fibromyalgia, Kawasaki, I said already, MS. So, like, it's in my life, it's in my
Right.
orbit. I've seen it, I've lived it. And more than anything, that's why I say, like, if it's not necessarily about the disease, it's about how we approach it. You never know what someone's struggle is. Don't be a dick. There's no nice way of putting it.
Right.
Deal
No.
with it, YouTube. People can be really judgmental and really nasty. If people can be that nasty and judgmental about things that they don't understand when it comes to race and culture, can you imagine how nasty we can get about a disease that you can't really see and pinpoint and say, oh, yeah, that person's definitely sick?
Exactly.
Everybody likes to have an opinion. Everybody wants to be a doctor. There's real progress being made in treatment. There is. Again, Truby just said it. We're not saying don't do it. If it's something that's really helping you and working for you,
Go right
great.
ahead. Yeah.
And there's a lot of new hope cures about um, the plant-based diet or whatever. And it's been proven. And there's another doctor on Instagram that she talks a lot about reverting lupus,
Oh
which
wow.
has not been known to have a cure, but
Right.
reverting lupus with change of diet. Very interesting things are happening in the world. You know, even as the patient, as the person dealing with it, educate yourself. As the person that is the support system or the friend, or just a person in the world. So you're not a bobo walking around. Educate yourself on these potential um, treatments so that if a friend comes to you, know, I'm dealing with, oh, have you heard of this?
Right.
Be that guy. Is it time for quotey quotes?
Definitely time for quoting codes.
Quotey quotes. Oh, I don't need to do that anymore because I have a song. Okay, let me. Quotey quotes with Vane. Thank you again, Brian. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not contagious. I'm not seeking attention. I'm not a hypochondriac. My body is at war with itself. I'm not an addict. I'm not crazy. I deserve quality of life. I'm not lazy. I did not want or choose this. I battle every day to get out of bed. I want to work. I want to be productive. This is not easy or fun. I don't enjoy it. I feel like I'm trapped in a broken body. And this is from the Eco Project Management Group. It's thoughts that have been shared by people with autoimmune diseases or chronic disease. I want to say the next one quick so I don't disappear and I'll come back and then go back.
Okay.
Here I go. Ask me how I feel about myself. Ask me about my sleeping habits. Ask me about my joint pain. Ask me about nausea, about heartburn and indigestion, about a million trips to the bathroom. Ask me about my weight. Ask me about my brittle nails, my thin hair. Ask me why I'm so tired, about the medication for the rest of my life. Ask me about my depression and my awful mood swings. And I'll tell you all the invisible illness that I struggle with every day. Again, those are the things that are so quick to judge about someone when you don't understand what they're living with and fighting through.
Right. And again, some people don't want to talk about it. You know the list that you have to go through? Like if you have someone that's willing to sit there and actually understand about your autoimmune, why you have your chronic pain and X, Y, and Z, you're
Yeah.
blessed because some people really don't care about any of that. Some people don't want to hear somebody else's problems, you know.
Yeah.
And then again, they shouldn't be in your life because you that's negativity right there that we don't need.
Yeah. Then, of course, we need to have um, hmm,
Brene
a Brené
Brown.
Brown. Yes. What we don't need in the midst of struggle is shame for being human. Brené Brown. In the
That's
end, that's
very
it. We're humans having a very human experience, and some of us have to deal with a little extra. I see it everywhere that it says, what is it? Chronic illness warriors. It's a hashtag.
nice.
Chronic illness warriors, autoimmune warriors, invisible illness warriors. And that's exactly what it is. It's constantly fighting a battle that nobody else knows and will understand. You can have a support system, they will still never understand what it is exactly.
Right, my
So,
friends are like, why did you sleep for 11 hours? Do you want to be in my body? I will tell you why you did sleeping
right?
for 11 hours. And that's the thing. The much rest you get, the more you're able to do. Mind you, I'm the type of person, if I don't need to be out at 10 p.m. doing shit, why am I out? If
Right.
there's purpose to this, I am not going to waste the little spoons that I already have to entertain some
Nonsense.
nonsense. We just hope that with all this information you are listening to, whenever you do listen to this, you're able to, you know, in retrospect, look at your life and see, oh my God, my friends, oh my God, whoever, and realize that some people don't bail out for no reason. You know,
Yeah.
maybe they just don't want to tell you, hey, I am suffering from this, or this is what's going on, because they too don't want to burden people with their own their illness, their whatever,
Yeah.
you know. So be mindful of the people around you and what's going on in their lives. I'm not saying that you need to be 24/7, hey, are you okay, what's going on with people, but
No, that's marea.
don't take it personal when they're like, not today.
Yeah. And final thought for me is very, very much like what you just said, but also for those, that are struggling with these invisible illnesses, don't, there's going to be days where you absolutely don't want to deal and it's going to be hard. But I I urge you to look for others in your community that are very vocal and active about what it is to live with these ailments because they are traveling, experiencing the world to the best of their abilities, right? And having those experiences before they may not be able to. Let that be a source of inspiration. My friend says this a lot. My mother said this when she was diagnosed with cancer. Don't let the diagnosis be the end of your life, right? The end is the end when it's the end. But up until then, you know,
Live.
you have there's there's different ways to approach everything. So there's different ways of living your life. If you have to make certain accommodations for, you know, for limitations in certain abilities or flexibility in your body, do it. But like I said, I feel like you're such a great example of it, Shubi, because you do travel and you do, push yourself, but you also give yourself and your body the time to recuperate. And you give yourself your time and you surround yourself with people that are cognizant of that need, but
Yeah.
that also help you build memories, you know? So it's good to surround yourself with people that are supportive. It's good to surround yourself with information and with other people that also are on the same boat as you are, and doing things, right? So don't lo- don't lose hope in that sense. And
That,
for those that don't have it, don't be a jerk.
that's the most important. Educating yourself. If you have it, educate yourself on more ways. Figure out what works for you. If this medication does work for you, what holistic ways works for you, what things actually work for you, what to ease the pain and to make your day better. But don't stop, just don't settle for the doctors giving you 10,000 pills or this or that. Just educate yourself, educate others if they're willing to listen, but don't stop there, And like Vanessa said, there is a life to live, we gotta keep going. Like, yes, I like to do all the things because maybe I don't know when or I will stop doing it. I don't know,
Yeah.
so just do it. And that's it. I mean, it's not that easy. It's easier said than done, but baby,
Easier said than done. Baby steps and you do it.
yeah, baby steps still lead you forward, man, to a better, um, healthier, better, easier way to deal with your illness. So
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And throughout the week, we'll be popping up information, posts related to today's topic, and also a couple of links of people that you may want to follow and see their experience and how they're living with these invisible illnesses. So stay fearless, fam.
good night, everyone.